Half-Life and mods. A match made in heaven. Much like Doom and Quake before it, Half-Life was blessed with a large modding community, some of whom would make it very big. Whether they had new assets, feeling like a full modification, or used Half-Life's existing assets, acting more like an add-on to the base game, Half-Life helped spawn a flurry of fun mods. And today I will be looking at some that I played back in the day and revisited recently. The mods I'll be looking at today are all from 1999, so get comfy on your inflatable couch and boot up that Pentium 3 because we're going back to the year of the Matrix. Backstreet Boys' Millennium album. The mass panic from people over the potential Millennium bug that could possibly wreak havoc on bank accounts and other computer-related programs, therefore plunging the world into pandemonium. Frosted Tips. Meanwhile, I was worried that my video game save files would get corrupted somehow, because of the lack of the last 2 digits of the year. Yeah, seems rather silly in hindsight. I also thought Norton Antivirus did more than just take our money. Anyway, I'll be looking at 3 mods today that are readily available to download and play online, and I will be including their links in the description below. So installing the mods are quite easy. They do come with a readme file from the year that they were created. Yes, I think my computer can run this. But instructions are also given from websites like ModDB on how to install them. It is quite easy. You need to unzip the files and put them into your Half-Life folder, and most of the mods should work just fine with the latest updates. There were some issues when the 25th anniversary update was released, but a lot of those issues have been fixed.
They were having some problems down in the test chamber too, but I think that's all straightened out.
One of the mods unfortunately didn't seem to work with the update, so if you ever have trouble with the mod not loading properly, you can go to the Half-Life properties folder on Steam, click on beta, and change the game's build to the pre-25th anniversary edition and get it running. Also, each mod should have their own dedicated launcher as well. So, without further ado, let's get on to the mods.
Hey Mr. Freeman, please follow me and we'll get you suited up.
So the first mod I will be looking at today is ETC, which according to the readme file stands for Earthquake Test Center. And from the very get-go, yeah, you can see that in action. I love how the action picks up straight away in this mod. It almost reminds me of Half-Life Uplink for some reason. The vibes I get from this mod is that it could exist in Black Mesa, and perhaps takes place in a neighboring facility. A lot of mods take the liberty in taking place in a universe outside of Half-Life's story, often having new assets to reflect this as well. But this one feels like it could be part of the main Half-Life universe, like an extension almost. ETC also boasts some very aesthetically pleasing level design and believable environments, further engrossing me into this world. I don't remember exactly when I played this mod originally, but unlike the other 2 mods on this list, which I got from demo discs, I'll go further into that later, I think this one was downloaded from the internet. I remember my bro chose this one based on the screenshots, and yeah, this mod rocks. Thanks bro. Because most of these mods are significantly short, it makes sense to put as much action and story in your mod, but also managing to balance out the pace as well. And I think ETC does this very well. I really enjoyed this area that included a cafeteria, with multiple levels of elevation, and acting as a kind of anchor point for when you reach the 2nd floor, or when you have to backtrack to the beginning after you activate a bridge that will get you to the next area. A lot of these mods do involve backtracking, but this one at least does it in a way that feels fluid and doesn't get you lost in trying to figure out where the hell you need to go next. I'll be honest though, even though I grew up playing Half-Life, I feel like that I've played a few too many games with minimaps and quest markers that when replaying these mods, I sometimes fumbled a bit and had to think where to go next. I feel like I didn't have as much trouble back then. I guess I was used to how the game worked a lot more. For example, I forgot that there was a locked door in an earlier area, and when I reached a dead end here with Barney's mustachioed cousin, Bernardo, I thought, well, now what? It's obvious that I need to take him back to the locked room, but I feel like I almost lost that intuition, which was second nature back then. Either that or my brain got slower because I completely forgot about that locked door. Anyway, I figured it out eventually. There isn't much more to say about this mod. It's fun, engaging, and it never overstays its welcome. Overall, this mod is definitely worth checking out. It is quite short, where you can beat it in about an hour, or twice as long if you're me. And honestly, it feels like it could have been the Half-Life Uplink demo in another universe. In a humble fashion, Dave Johnson, the creator, says he's not a huge fan of this mod, as written in the README file, but I think he deserves the praise. Well done, mate. Apart from the cutscenes, which were quite popular with Half-Life mods, this feels like it could have been a cut chapter from the main game. I was pleasantly surprised the second time around too. Oh, and there is a sequel, which I will look into at a later point, as I've never played it before.
Got another one.
The next mod we will be looking at is one of my personal favorites from back in the day, USS Darkstar. Brought to you by PC Gamer Magazine, the gaming magazine with the coconut monkey mascot.
Damn that monkey.
This mod was available from demo discs that came with the magazine, which was the main way to obtain these mods if you didn't have the internet. And if you didn't have the magazines, then you could always convince your friend at school to let you borrow the demo disc. By the way, Dave, you never returned my demo disc from PC Gamer Edition number 257, you know, the one with the front cover. USS Darkstar takes place in outer space in the year 2066, where you are on board a zoological research vessel that researches and analyzes the alien creatures on board. After the beautifully long spaceship intro that rivals that of Spaceballs, we see that even in space, Gordon is late for work. Been there. Late for work. Not being in space. Yet. Being a sucker for sci-fi, I immediately loved the spaceship setting, and I think the Gold Source engine handles it quite well. Interior levels always look better on the engine than exterior, and the simple but effective starry skybox does well to look both believable, but also helps the wonderful lighting inside the ship do its thing. It really sets the tone.
Hello, Gordon Freeman. It's good to see you.
I do like how you can go off and explore the ship before it all inevitably goes to hell, much like the Resonance Cascade. When it finally hits the fan, the scene plays out very reminiscent of Alien, or even The Thing, and ultimately acts as the inciting incident for the mod, and for you to then grab your crowbar and go to town. I do like that a few of the scientists are thinking about chaos theory while you're exploring. Like, what if having all these cool but dangerous aliens in this claustrophobic flying tin can is a bad idea in case they were ever to break loose from a security failure?
Gordon, I'm very concerned about these electrical force field barriers. What will happen if we have a power outage?
A few moments later.
From here on, in typical Half-Life fashion, you must use your brains as much as your brawn to proceed further into the ship's quarters, and then ultimately find the escape pods. The storytelling in this is great. Much like the Resonance Cascade, it builds up this fascinating looking working environment and living, breathing world for it to then turn into a complete horror show and into a classic sci-fi survival scenario. There were some segments that did the horror aspect quite well, with the right lighting, or lack thereof, and the cold industrial setting of the spaceship. One segment even jump scared me as well.
Surprise!
This mod is a little longer than ETC, and you can beat it in about 2 hours, though it took me a little longer. There are no new weapons or enemies in this one, though there are a few aliens and monsters that were cut from the main game, like good old Chum Toad. You'll be seeing him a fair bit in these mods. However, using the existing assets really transformed this mod into a unique looking experience, and the overall flow of the mod is quite tight as well. I did get stuck in one part, mostly because I didn't realize this ladder was here until after an embarrassingly long time. Again, I swear I was more sharp the first time I played this. My absolute favorite segment has to be where you shrink down to the size of a mouse and must navigate your way inside the computer systems and also make your way past a perilous office environment, complete with mousetraps, little aliens, and Xena. This segment reminds me a lot of those custom Half-Life or Counter-Strike multiplayer maps, where you're fighting in a bedroom or kitchen, running on the countertops or walking inside the walls. I did feel like the first half of the mod was stronger, though the shrinking segment was a highlight and it did break up the mod a bit. It did get significantly more difficult towards the end, which is not a bad thing, but I guess playing on hard it made it more challenging, and nothing a little trial and error and save scumming can't fix. Overall, USS Darkstar is still worthy of a play in 2024. But unfortunately, we'll have to wait another 40 years to play Gravy Trader. That is if you can get it running.
Gordon, have you been able to get Gravy Trader running? I waited 40 years for Gravy Trader, and I'm not leaving until I get it running. Damn that monkey.
The final mod I will be looking at is Absolute Redemption, and it is absolutely awesome. This is a mod that was so popular that it was not only released through PC Zone magazine, but was also later released with the retail release of Counter-Strike. Of all the mods I'm covering today, this one is probably the richest in terms of story. It seems to take place either immediately after or not long after the events of Half-Life 1. And in a way this mod is the Half-Life 2 before Half-Life 2. The story revolves around the segment in Zen, where Freeman releases the alien moth-like creatures, known as Telnorps, in order to create a portal. As it turns out, with this portal open, the beings from Zen begin fighting against the beings from Zan, who have crossed over. And in order to restore balance and close off the portals and stop the Zan, Freeman must reunite the Telnorps to Zen. Are you following? Unfortunately for you though, the Telnorps have been captured and are scattered around different parts of the world, including the Himalayas, an amusement park, and a large warehouse. And the G-Man has kindly offered you the job of visiting these areas and retrieving the sacred Telnorps. Wow, the G-Man has good taste in art, doesn't he? So thus begins your mission, and before you set off on your adventure, you get to roam around the G-Man's lavish office and teleportation lab as well. Hey look, it's Gina! Having downloaded this mod recently, I understand that Absolute Redemption was the full version of the mod that differs slightly to the one that was released with Counter-Strike. YouTuber Marfitimus Blackimus goes into more detail on the differences of the mod, but the ones that I noticed while playing this version was, in the intro teleportation segment, you are sent to Stonehenge instead of a Quake 2 level, and the ending Zen segment is different, and I'd say this one is probably better, as it omits the annoying low gravity platforming of the other version. I believe the other version of Redemption can also be downloaded on ModDB. I love the unique locations in this mod, straying further away from heavy concrete labs and taking us to new environments. Again, the indoor segments do look nicer than the outdoor ones, but it's great to see places that simply were not present in Half-Life. I do like the reskinned grunt models, going for more of a jungle/military green outfit rather than the original desert-ish outfit. I'm no expert on camouflage, but I think the white was meant to be for desert environments with foliage, not snow. Speaking of, why aren't they in snow gear here? I guess the modders wanted them to stand out. The combat areas are well set up here, though at times it did feel like maybe the enemies were stacked just a tad. Also, why am I playing on hard? I have nothing to prove. It just makes them a little more bullet spongy and a lot more dangerous. I really loved the temple with the assassins. Well, the temple more than the assassins. I'm glad the assassins were programmed to stay in their respective areas, otherwise they would bunch up and become impossible. It's good that the holy water fountain gives you health as well. And overall, I do love the set piece of this. The amusement park level was a personal favorite of mine, and while it's not so much my favorite anymore on the second playthrough, it still gave me a huge stupid grin on my face, walking around and jumping on rides in the Gold Source engine of all things. Early on we are met with Barney's Russian counterparts, Boris, who work at the park and later help you when, you guessed it, all hell breaks loose and the aliens are set free. You can probably finish this level quite quickly, but I had a lot of fun just exploring and checking out the rides, and it is worth checking each area after the aliens escape as well, as weapons will drop throughout the stage. The final Telnorp stage takes place in a very large warehouse, and of all the levels, most resembles the type of stages that you would see in Half-Life. I absolutely love the sheer scale of the stage, and how the areas eventually interconnect with one another, and how you can unlock shortcuts by unlocking doors from the other side. A few times I found myself thinking, how do I get there? Only to later end up in a new area and realize, oh, I'm here now. I will admit though, in the latter part of the stage, some backtracking wasn't as clear as others, as when I found myself stuck, I went back to an earlier area and noticed the door was unlocked. Maybe it was obvious on how that door unlocked, but I don't remember. Either way, this level demands exploration, but thankfully I do enjoy checking every nook and cranny, just in case there are secret areas and items that I may have missed. Once you find the final Telnorp and release it, You have to make your escape and fight your way out. Finally, the last stage takes place in Zen, with an X, where you have to reunite the Telnorbs in a similar fashion to how you did in Half-Life. The version I played many years ago was a lot simpler in design, but used Half-Life's notorious low-gravity platform, which I'm glad was omitted for this version. Once you have the little alien mods reunited, you have completed Absolute Redemption. Replaying it again, I did notice that the pace and difficulty did fluctuate at times. However, playing Half-Life on hard can do that at times too. If you're not used to it, you might feel like some segments are way harder than others, and you're not given enough health to progress comfortably. However, if you are used to it, then oftentimes you'll be reloading a save, or blowing yourself up to reload a save like I do, in order to try that section again, and trying not to lose too much health and armor this time. I've lost count on the amount of times that I forced Gordon to meet an explosive end, just so he can try again. Sorry, Gordon. Overall, Absolute Redemption is still a solid mod that has stood the test of time. As far as I'm aware, no sequel was ever made, though if they did, I would imagine it'd be something similar to this, only with new locations. Have Gordon go to the Great Wall of China or something. Is there a mod for that? I'd play that. Also, since playing Redemption for the first time, I still refer to these little flying insects as Telnorbs, because honestly, I have no idea what they are called. And they are rather fascinating looking bugs.
How interesting. Just look at that.
And there you have it. Those are 3 Half-Life mods which I recommend checking out. Again, they are free and relatively short, meaning you'll be able to beat them in 1 to 3 sittings. There are of course many more mods online, especially on ModDB, and most of them I have not played yet. Do you guys have any favorite Half-Life mods that I should check out? Please let me know in the comments, and I will perhaps take a look at them at a later point and make another video. If you liked this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, please let me know what you thought. Maybe my stories were akin to online recipes and you just wanted me to get on with the review. Or maybe you think the mods in questions are actually not that great and rather smelly. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.
Damn that monkey.